Good evening. I call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I apologize for my voice now. Hopefully it doesn't go out. Roll call. All directors are present. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda tonight.
I will move the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Agenda is approved. Moving on to public comment. There are no members of the public in person and nobody online. So we will move on to community reports, and I do have someone here from the sheriff.
Is that better, sir? All right. My person clicker's not here. No. So, but I just wanted to stop by and say hi again. I'm back. So, do you guys have any questions or concerns at this time? I know you guys had a little busy week with the floods, so I was working a little bit on that at home. But any other questions or concerns?
No? All right. Thank you very much. All right, so we will move on to item 3, consent items. Does anyone have anything they would like to pull? All right. If not, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion to approve the consent items, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. Number 4, no matters removed from the consent items, so we will move on to item 5, presentations and appointments.
Hey, good evening. We have Jaime Rojas here tonight, and he's going to give our presentation, our quarterly presentation for the end of last year.
Good evening, Board President. Is this thing on? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
The most simplest things sometimes are the most difficult ones. Good evening, Board President and Board Directors. It's a pleasure for us to give us our last fourth quarter report. We have a presentation I'll be going up on the screen. Is it up? Yeah. Oh, perfect. It's up there. I'm looking at myself. Why am I looking at myself? First quarter and last quarter, excuse me, busy as we wrap up the fiscal year. I'll start with the state advocacy updates. We had a state budget, as we knew, with a deficit last year, another fiscal year deficit. At least we can definitely say that this year is much better, as the governor gave a very rosy proposal on what the budget is, but still significantly lowered from the Department of Finance compared to the fiscal year prior to that. The administration emphasized fiscal discipline through the whole process. Our priorities were shovel-ready water, wildfire, climate resilience projects, including Prop 4 dollars, which, as you know, back in November of 2024, the voters approved that bond measure of $33 billion over a 3-year period. Sacramento has been slow in that process of application, and then also, and more importantly, is giving out that bond funding. Back in November, we had a meeting with a variety of the members of the budget committees from both the Senate and the Assembly. Part of the holdup was trying to either release one single application or have the agencies roll that out. individually, which is over 119 departments and agencies, with no real boundaries in regards to processes. Each individual one would handle their own. As of right now, that's how it's going to be handled. They're guesstimating that the rollouts for Prop 4 will be sometime second quarter, probably April, May, beginning of summer, and then funding for the first year towards the end of this fiscal year. And so that will begin the first year of the 3-year process for the $33 billion on the Proposition 4. Some of the key upcoming dates for, as I just mentioned, January 6th, the legislature convened. The governor gave his budget request January 10th for the 26-27 budget process. This February, we have deadlines for the introduction of budget and policy bills. February through April, we're looking at budget and policy subcommittee hearings, which we follow through on our capital improvement projects that we've outlined with the district. And April 1st is Department of Finance. Their submittal of the spring finance letters indicating first round of where the dollars will be going, specifically line items under the budget process. I'll move over to the federal advocacy updates. Congress advanced the fiscal year 2026 appropriations, but most bills remain unresolved as of right now. We've only had a few that have passed through both the Senate and the House of Representatives. Our energy and water, interior, and the environment and transportation HUD basically still pending. The community project funding under the House and the congressional direct spending under the Senate, basically both earmarks, but just called a little differently, still remain in play as of right now. Some of the upcoming dates that we're looking at for this year is the congressional committee meetings, release updates of calendars and tentative earmarks deadlines for this month. Many, as you've heard, Friday is the vote of a possible or not shutdown of government. With that being said, Congress would still be moving forward if they did shut down because they approved the congressional earmarks last December during that long shutdown. So part of it has already been funded. The earmarks is the main part of the budget that hasn't been funded. So that will still keep moving forward. I'll be talking briefly about meetings already scheduled for some of our congressional meetings for next week. Upcoming as well for dates, we're looking at January congressional committees meetings released with the calendars and tentative earmark timelines. Each year, both on the state and federal, the deadlines and requirements change for both the state and the federal. It's usually a last minute thing in regards to February when they release them and us submitting and working with the staff to put those projects together. It happens every year. We prepared and get ready with the staff to get those applications ready. January 30th, we look at a current continuing resolution which expires, which I just mentioned. February is when the president submits for fiscal year 2027 budget request to the Congress. And within that time period as well, the president signs the previous year's fiscal budget process. March and April is expected to release the House and Senate earmark guidelines, as I mentioned, for a quick turnaround in the end of February, beginning of March. Fourth quarter activities from this past session. RPA's actions for our clients were specifically strategic planning. Sessions ended in October. November and December was focused on reviewing district priority budgets, what projects, capital improvement projects we were looking at, what could we done and work differently from last year to work off for this year, for fiscal year 2027, and the legislative activity, what we need to look out for in regards to issues pertaining to the district. We confirm advocacy priorities and strategy through the annual kickoff that we've had with the staff. And of course, relationship building. During this time, we also, third and fourth quarters, where we try to bring elected officials and their staff over to the district for in-person meetings, as well as advocating both not only in Sacramento but in DC. Meetings with the Assembly and Senate budget committees is what we did this past November as a team, more specifically for that Prop 4 dollars and when those were coming out and when the monies would be released. Legislative outreach initiated ahead of 2026 session. And then lastly here, coordination and outreach. We requested legislative meetings tied to Sacramento and DC legislative days. I know with for next week, that Ledge Day has been canceled, but we're still meeting with our congressional office, as well as we've got dates for both senators, Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla. So we'll have everything in documentation as they already have with their staff in hand. So we'll be doing those presentations on your behalf next week in Washington, D.C. And then here also, part of the coordination and outreach, we've also extended an invitation to Supervisor Cook to visit the district, and waiting to get a date on that, especially with emergency funding from the recent rain and wind from last December. As we look ahead for Q1 for 2026 on state and federal, the first activity at hand is always identifying priorities, plans, and advocacy. We've had those meetings with the staff in what those projects are. We were looking at 3. We're looking at the legacy PLC replacement with funding there, looking at to cover about $1.5 million to cover contingencies. Part of that will be state, federal, and then definitely Prop 4 grant dollars that we're looking to apply. The electrical panel replacement, which is about 18 of those throughout the district. And then the Parks and Rec, the phase 1 of $13 million would be phase 1. First phase of 2 sports fields. Is those 3 projects are priorities for this coming fiscal year for both state and federal. February 3rd for upcoming meetings in Washington, Congressmember Obernolte. On the 3rd is both Senators, U.S. Senators State Padilla and Schiff, as well as a follow-up meeting with Department of USDA on applications that was submitted by the district on funding for reimbursements on the impacts of last month's emergency as well. So we've had a positive call this week with the agency on that application, and then for us to be able to meet with them in person next week as well. Next steps, finalize outreach and advocacy materials, our one-pagers as well as letters of submittal to DC as well as for the state. And then the one-pagers are more of a visual of the project, a more detailed in regards to what they are in particular. So these handouts are always part of the process in explaining to not only the electeds, but more importantly to the staff as we begin the process of submitting applications in this coming fiscal year. And then upcoming district visits. We just got a call from Assemblymember Harbidian's office. He was scheduled to come April 2nd. He is rescheduling due to a conflict. He will be meeting us in March for Sacramento. He's planning to reschedule when they're back here in the district back in September to do that tour and visit. But he'll be seeing us for the scheduled Ledge Day up in Sacramento in March. And that is our report for Q4 and then what we're expecting for Q1 for this year. And then I definitely want to open up for any questions from the board or staff.
Questions? No? No? I guess it's an easy night for you.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I know we'll be in touch with staff as we are in DC next week, and then we'll prepare summary reports when we come back from next week from DC. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you
for
very
the
much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for the comprehensive report.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to item 6A, clarification of Civic Center and Emergency Operations Center construction contract. Mr. Burtz.
Hi, and good evening. At the last board meeting, Chuck had brought up a point about the process when we did the bidding for the project, and there was a question on whether a certain component was included, which was the electrical, the FF&E. And so we did want to address that for the record, because there's public financing available for this, and we want to make sure that we have this absolutely correct and the record is straight on there. And we have, we can read the comment that was made by the project manager on this project, and it was a little bit, there was a lot going on at the time, and he was referring to in the $14 million with these things being included. And I can have Jen read that if you guys need it. But we just wanted to have this clearly stated that in the project that we brought to the board says additional components including electrical systems, staking the FF&E would be procured separately. So we did want to clear that up just in case there was any questions when it came to the grant funding that we did receive. And staff is just recommending that the board receive this memo. And we're happy to answer any questions if you would like to on that.
I'll just say thank you, but I was good at the last meeting.
Okay, we just
Yeah, I'll give it
wanted to
to
clear it up and make sure if there's any questions.
Are we working on the 2-week look ahead and then the total cost that we think we have outstanding?
Yes,
for
we
FFA?
have a meeting, I believe, tomorrow morning that we're working on the total costs. There's a couple changes here and there, but the project is moving along quite well at this point. But we will have that, hopefully at the next meeting, we'll have all of that information gathered for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? No? All right, thank you very much. All right, moving on to 6B, discussion and possible approval of well number 16 change orders for best drilling and pump.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to turn this over to Sean Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. Back in April of last year, the board did approve the modification to our 10-year CIP to align with changes to our chromium mitigation strategy. Most principally, that was the drilling of the 2 wells. And on May 14th of last year, we held a proposal review and evaluation, and the board approved the furnishing of labor materials, everything necessary to drill those 2 wells. As drilling, casing, and mechanical development have been successful, conditions encountered in the areas specifically between about 450 and about 1,020 foot below ground, there was a little bit more clay than you would love to see. So it was a little bit slower going, and what we deemed necessary was a little bit further mechanical development. In our original bid scope, we build in 48 hours. You get into silts and sands, that works wonderfully, like we saw at well 15. Well 16 does have a little bit more clay that required about 205 hours more mechanical development. What that is we go in, there's 2 swabs, and we blast the strata with air, and that helps really break things up, as well as brings our total dissolved solids down, right? So we see some more of those suspended solids working their way out of that casing. And what we saw was a huge improvement in both water quality and water quantity. So we did some impromptu aquifer zone testing. I am happy to report everything came back very, very low in hexavalent chromium. There's a little bit of trivalent, so as long as we never put an oxidizer down there, we're in good shape. But it really was necessary, that additional mechanical development. During the drilling phase, we really get one shot. When that drill rig's in place, you're never going to get that again, and it really was necessary for this to be as successful as possible, and it worked. In a nutshell, that 30,000 foot view, those extra hours of mechanical development, they help significantly. In fact, the well drillers are a little bit even more hopeful than I am. They're thinking my estimates on yield are a little bit conservative. They started installing the test pump today, so even as early as next week, we're really going to get a good idea of quantity and quality of water. More specifically, depth and quantity. That's what we're looking at right now. But this step was really necessary to get us there. So what we're looking at is a change order in the amount of $154,800 for that additional development, which segues us into the second change order. They're hypothesizing our discharge is going to be more water than we were initially thinking, so we needed a little bit more discharge piping, and that resulted in that second change order of $7,533. And during staff report, we have some further updates on another well, but I'm happy to answer any questions for well 16 that we have.
Okay, questions? Comments? No? Everybody's so quiet tonight. All right, makes sense. So with this one, we need a motion.
I motion that we approve the change orders for well 16.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to sometime today.
There's a lot of pages in
There are a lot
a
of
lot of
pages in there.
details, yeah.
Wow. All right, 6C, update on district projects.
60. Well, Sean's already warmed up talking about the well, so I'm gonna turn this one right back over to Sean and let him update you on the second well.
Perfect.
So we just got done discussing well 16. We've mobilized the drill rig and drilling's commenced. What we're seeing at well 18 is a really good strata, on par, if not even better than what we saw at well 15. Very similar strata. In fact, we're looking to hit total depth sometime probably late tomorrow night or early Friday. We'll come in and e-log either late Friday or early Saturday. And then we'll move into well casing design and build out. We'll also begin test pumping well 16 about Monday of next week. So our next board meeting, we should have a lot of information, especially in regards to water quantity, right? That's what we all want to know is how much are we going to get? We've made a significant investment. Everything's indicating it's looking really good. Well 18 is looking even more promising. So we're continuing to move forward. The drilling's going even more quick as we could have hoped. Well 16 took a little longer. Drill bits don't love clay. Well 18, we're seeing nothing but sands and silts, so it looks really, really good. And our preliminary testing at well 16's come back almost non-detecting chromium, which again, everything is just on the positive. So fingers crossed, and next week should yield a lot of answers for us.
Sean, do you have an update? Do you have any update on the system after the flood? It's been a couple of weeks now. Do you want to kind of update them on what we're looking at and where you're at, if you have an update?
Sure. So the system stabilized. The boil notices, obviously, after last meeting. We've gotten a chance to analyze everything in the crossings, and at the next board meeting, we do have a dollar amount, which for materials, staff plans on bringing a proposal to the board for a materials purchase to put the system back whole. That also, Don and I were just discussing this right before this meeting. It's not as bad as it could be. We're not staring at 7 numbers. It's in the low 6 numbers. So what staff is going to propose to bring the system back whole is a materials purchase for 5 crossings. 4 of those crossings are non-existent today. One of them is that piece of pipe that we had in the middle of the room that got beat up really bad. We don't know the condition of the rest of the crossing. So what we'd like to do is drop section these 5 crossings, which will harden the system to where in the next storm event, hopefully we brush that one off. And the dollar amount is not as nearly significant as we initially thought. But again, that's us purchasing the materials, and staff will be putting those in. We're also proposing renting a 100,000-pound excavator with a 5 or 6 foot bucket, so we can slope when we do these crossings at a 2-to-1 ratio and put these pipes 12 foot deep, and hopefully in all of our lifetimes we'll never see them again. But the system's responding pretty well. We're in a really good place. Everything's very stable. Everything, including SCADA and the operators, have adjusted. We do have, and it was in our consent calendar tonight, a pipeline for the first crossing, the most critical at Trinity Road. That'll restore our ability to pump eastward in the system up to the tank right up here on top of the hill. Because right now we sort of have a sole feed. We don't sort of, we have a sole feed there now. Pipeline materials, the fitting showed up today, and pipe's supposed to be coming from Utah hopefully in the next week, and we'll begin installing that as soon as it gets here. And we also installed the main line for Chris and his crew in just a couple days, installed the main line for the new Civic building this week. Happy to answer any questions.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it for the update. some things that come to mind for me that I'd like to see when you give that presentation next week about the materials and things that are needed is how you determine, because now's the opportune time. You're going to be excavated, you're going to have the trench open, and how does that tie into the overall master plan of the distribution system? And now's the time to do any upsizing that we need, so when the future comes along, we're adequate in terms of being able, speaking to the operations person, but being able to get us through build out, not having to go back in again and pay for an upgrade unless it's development driven.
That's an excellent thought. We'll be sure to incorporate that into our proposal to the board. If it's the desire of the board, we could incorporate 2 proposals, one for current system demand and one for a future build out. We were trying to mitigate cost. I was actually working on it for a majority of today. We could certainly look at upsizing, because the vast majority of them are 8-inch. We could look at 12-inch. We're not talking a huge difference in pipe. And if Don, if I'm allowed to even kind of brush on some numbers, preliminary estimates were $218,000 and change for the 8-inch pipe. So if we were a third more for the 12-inch pipe and it was the desire of the board, I'd be happy to compile 2 proposals. I think that is a fantastic idea. So,
Yeah.
and 12-inch pipes that much more durable than 8-inch pipe.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, today's dollars and putting that in is going to be cost savings to the district in the long run.
And
Thanks, Sean.
we did look at only ductile iron and with field lock rubbers, so it'll be fully restrained, and it's the most cost-effective, durable pipe we could see. But yeah, thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, two proposals to see where we're at. That's a great idea.
Okay, be happy to bring that before the board. Thank you.
Yeah, looking ahead, Sean, that is a great idea and the suggestion. Had the district, when they initially put in the pipelines on those crossings, they could have saved a lot of money and a lot of headache had they done it right the first time. And over the years, every time we have a large event like that, we have probably a minimum of 1 line that gets washed out, and this one took them all out. So if we can do it right this time, then I think we're in great shape.
And then didn't Rojas mention that there was a possibility of getting some money for us to help with that anyway in this
Yes,
situation?
so we've had several meetings with the county. We had one as about 3:30 this afternoon on reimbursements. And in the reimbursements, we've put in, I believe it's $2.6 million contractor price to install those lines and make the improvements back to where we need to be. And we also had a meeting with the Corps of Engineers. We submitted documents to them. So some of those take longer than others, and a lot of them won't be reimbursed. So the Corps of Engineer one may be further down the road, but we are looking at all avenues to recoup the funds. And I believe that we have a very high chance of success for getting at least what we put out of pocket and hopefully what's needed to make it correct. And if we can save them some money by doing it correctly, we're happy to pass that back to FEMA.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Good, okay. Yes, district projects, Mr. Cardenas.
Yes, thank you. Start with the Civic Center project. As you probably noticed, a lot of dirt's been moved. Over the last couple of weeks, there was some over excavations for compaction for the building, about 5 feet, outside about 2 feet. So that's a removal and kind of over sections compact. And there's been a lot of movement of equipment out there. That's currently what's going on. We're going to get to a point where they're going to be importing dirt to build up the pad. Currently, they're taking from the borrow area on a 14-acre to build up the pad. There was a redesign not to build up the pad for the community building, the future community building. And you probably noticed that there is a depression there, and that's going to stay. So as they're working on that, the district district staff has installed or are about to complete about 800 feet of mainline installation from Warbler on the east side of the park down to the north edge of the park. That's going to tie into the existing 8-inch at the 5-acre site. And that's going to supply service for, well, it loops the system, but also supplies service for future connections for the park as well as the community building, I would say gymnasium. That's all about complete. There's about 20, 30 feet that's not going to be installed until the contractor comes in to install this storm drain. The storm drain pipe would be located in the parking lot of the current parking lot that we have here at the park, somewhere around where the building sits now, and about 10 feet deep. We're going to find this 24-inch storm drain pipe that's going to take the flows out to a retention basin. With that being said, the parking lot's going to be ripped out, and I believe they said scheduled for February 11th. And we're going to work with coordination on closing that area just for the install and then reopening the area. But the urgency is to get that repaved as soon as possible and not wait till the end of the project when they complete the Civic Center paving project. So that's on their radar to kind of do it in 2 phases. They are working on scheduling underground utilities. And that is the electrical underground, the plumbing underground, and fire service underground. That is scheduled for the week of February 9th, so in a couple of weeks, we're going to be moving ahead with the installation of the services to the building. Part of that storm drain as well. And then you'll see some batter boards, and that's the forms that are put in place for the foundation for the building. And that would be that February 9th week. We had our first meeting with the contractor, the CM, and subs. Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. We had one recently. We kind of went over the schedule and all of the RFIs and pending items. We're going to have this weekly, Tuesdays at 9. We are working on the schedule that I received today, or on Tuesday is what I presented today. We'll have one next week that will be included into the board packet for the following meeting. So you'll see that continually in every board packet, just a week behind. So I have nothing more to add on the Civic Center. If you have any questions, I can move on to the Phelan Park expansion. That wasn't me.
It's kind of off left field, but just a quick question. Now that Snowline has purchased the vacant lot, and they're going to be making some adjustments, is that going to affect anything that we were planning on doing with that road coming around the side and anything like that?
Well, no changes have been made from the traffic from Street Creek Road to the school.
Okay.
What they've done is they fenced it off for construction, but that travel pathway continues to be the same. We are moving, we're looking at probably in the next week or so is to grub out that area a little bit more, but traffic in and out in the morning and the afternoon will remain the same.
Okay.
And I don't know if, Don, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, the property that they purchased is the one north of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be using that as a bus turnaround area only.
Okay.
So there will still be cars going through the backside of the property, and we continue to talk to the school about what that's going to look like. As George said, they're going to finish grubbing that property and open it up a little bit more, with the fence being where it is on the limits of construction. It makes it a little bit tight in there, but they've given a 30-foot drive access all the way around the corner of the school, up on the, I guess it'd be the southeast corner, so the traffic can still go through there. And I don't think we've had really any issues, other than somebody complained that if their kids climb 2 fences, they might get out into the construction site, but I think we've got that under control.
Yeah, there is about a 25-foot buffer, so traffic can continue through out to Phelan Road. That was important to communicate that to the CM and the contractor. The school district, Robert Chacon, has been in touch with us on that. Any changes, any concerns, we bring it to their attentions immediately. We are well aware that traffic could be a little dusty at times. Now that Warbler Road is closed, majority of all that traffic is going to go run through Sheep Creek Road and out through Phelan Road.
Okay, thank you.
The park expansion, I can touch on the park expansion for the next couple of weeks. You've probably seen not much has happened. There hasn't been much activity back there. And it was more so to get out of the way of what's going on with the Civic Center project. But now that the main line has been installed on the east end of the park, the contractor, Chafee Construction, they'll be out here next week, Monday, to over-X the wall and erect the wall and fencing. So you'll see some work being done in the next couple of weeks. So there's footings and over-X and compaction that's going to be involved in that. But the following week, Edison conduit would be installed soon after. And that's the connection that's kind of ties into what they're already doing now with the underground, kind of plays into coordination with the project with Chafee. So that'll be a continual run. So the inspector doesn't have to be jumping. He could be on site probably for both projects. I have nothing more to add to the park project.
Okay, questions? Comments? No? Thank you very much. All right, moving on to item 7, committee reports. These are all new, but engineering committee met.
All right, we talked about the 10-year capital plan. We had a discussion on preliminary cost estimates for the storm impact and purchasing of a case skip loader, potentially.
Thank you. Finance committee,
I don't think we've met since November 18th, and I don't know if we have a date yet for the next meeting.
we do.
We just changed the time to 4:30.
Yeah, thank you. Legislative? Yeah,
We were due to go to DC next week, but we're now not going, and we'll have our next meeting in March, is it?
yeah, perfect, thank you. And Park and Rec?
Yeah, nothing to report. We're scheduled to have meetings here in the new year.
Perfect. And waste and recycling?
Same.
The same. He's like ditto. Perfect. All right. 8, staff and general managers report. Anything to add?
Yeah, just a quick note, the DC trip has been postponed. Some of the meetings weren't working out quite as planned. We had a director who was not able to go, and my schedule got really tight, so we decided to postpone the trip until the time is appropriate. I would like to say that for California and under special districts, the legislative days is April 7th and 8th. If anybody would like to sign up for that, let us know right away. I think Jen already put it out. But if you do, you want to get into the hotel while they still have the block of rooms. It's about probably 40% of the normal price. The rooms are actually reasonable at that time. If you don't get in right away, you're going to be 5 miles away from the Capitol.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Item 9, directors' reports. Start with Greg.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Deborah?
Nothing to report.
All right. Gina?
Nothing to report.
Chuck?
Nothing to report also, thank you.
Continue with that theme. I have nothing to report. All right. Start of the new year. Item 10, correspondence and information.
Yes, in the packet is included some classes that we're offering to the kids. And not in the packet, but I just wanted to mention, we will be having the Civic Center groundbreaking on February 10th at 10 a.m. And we hope that everyone can attend.
Perfect, thank you. All right, item 11, review of action items. Were there any prior meeting action items?
That's me. Yes, the board asked us to return the approved resolutions, which were on the consent calendar. And then the current meeting action items, we're going to bring back the Civic Center breakdown, and then bring back the 2 comparison proposals for the storm repairs.
Perfect. All right, and then item 12, setting agenda for next meeting on February 11th. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add to that? All right. So, and then are we still going to close this?
Yes, Wes, is closed session necessary tonight?
Yes, it is. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. All right, so at this time, we will adjourn to closed session at 5:41 PM.